Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Black Standard Podcast. This is episode 13 of the Black Standard Podcast, and I'm your host, Courtney Ann Wallace. As you guys know, we're going to start by repeating our daily mantra, and it goes like this: I am happy to be alive. My heart is clean. My mind is open. I am ready to receive. Our quote of the day is: if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So today we have a guest. He is a Woolnerian like myself, top high school here in Jamaica. He is an avid investor. He is into the real estate industry where he does flipping and investing. And he's also a teacher and at heart. And more importantly, he got married recently. So Romy, if you're listening to this, big up yourself. So welcome to the podcast, Abraham. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me today.
That's good. That's good. So we're gonna start by talking a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you're from and what was childhood like for you.
Um, so I grew up. So you said a little bit about myself and what was childhood like for me, where I'm from.
Yes. Yes.
So I grew well. I'm from Kingston, Jamaica. That's what I usually tell people. But if you really know me, you know that I grew up in Saint Mary, Jamaica, on a
You're a
street called.
country kid? I did not know that.
Yeah, a lot of people think my uptown youth. But yeah, so I grew up in St. Mary until I was about 9. Um
Oh,
my mom, it was on her attorney journey, but she wasn't really like well known back then. So she used to do
yeah.
like just small cases. She had a few like good cases, but she was at the time shadowing a top attorney called Ian Ramsey.
Hmm.
He was a very, very, very well-known Jamaican attorney. He was also a laborite, but that's another conversation. Um,
This is a
but
politics-free podcast.
but yeah, this podcast is going to be very, I don't hold back any words. So yeah, so she was shadowing that guy, Ian Ramsey. He was teaching her a lot of stuff, and she was kind of coming up in the game.
Hmm.
And at about 9 years old, she started to like really get big in her field, and we decided to move to town. So at that point in time, when I was living in St. Mary, I used to still go to Woolman's prep. So I used to wake up like 4 a.m. and like
That's crazy.
drive through Junction and go, because them time they never have the highway, so we used to drive through Junction and go to school every morning, and then after work we'd have to drive back to St. Mary. Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Guys,
So
if you're listening to this and you're not Jamaican, just know that these are two completely distant areas.
yeah, and back then you had this like there was no good roads and stuff. So that's where I kind of grew up. Then I came to town, and then I was still at Wilmar's, but I think I was in like grade 5 or something. So I was about to go to high school next year. So yeah, I spent the rest of my years until I was 18 in Kingston before I got a full athletic scholarship and went to Howard University to study finance.
Okay, that's amazing. So let's fast forward a little bit. So you are an investor, an author, an entrepreneur, and I follow you on social media. We're friends, so I noticed that you're also in real estate because you post that from time to time, right? So my first question is, what prompted you to get into real estate? Because I always knew you as like a trader and an investor. So what really prompted you to jump into real estate?
Well, I'm an investor at heart. As I said, I studied finance. So as an investor, the real aim as an investor is to try and find yourself a good rate of return. Whether it's in the short term or in the long term, it depends on your strategy. But I don't like when people be like, "Oh, you're a trader or you're this or that." I'm an investor, so wherever the rate of return is, that's where I'm going. And I may also dabble in a few things at the same time. So getting into real estate was always one of my long-term goals, because I understand that the benefits. There's so many benefits that come from real estate that you can't get from other assets. Um, like you get multiple different ways of cash flow. You have the capital appreciation aspect. You also have the tax benefits that you can write off at the end of the year. And especially in the United States, It's just a game that has been tried and proven that can build long-term wealth. So most of the time, I move most of my profits from other assets that give me short-term capital gains
Right.
into real estate so that I can, build my net worth over a long period of time.
Okay, I agree. And I mean, real estate is what I would call one of those finite resources. It's not like we're getting more real estate each day. So I could easily see where it's a good industry to be in because I mean, with low supply it means that, the prices are going to go up over the years. So tell me, do you just sell homes or do you flip them as well?
I do a little bit of, I mean, I do a little bit of everything in real estate. So I'm working on a few flips. I also have some buy and holds that I use. I dabble in the Airbnb industry.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah, so short-term rentals. And I also, on the commercial side, work with one of my partners where I'm a general partner, a limited partner, my bad. And he syndicates these commercial deals, and I just kind of help him to raise capital and also put some of my own capital there because I don't like the headache of commercial real estate.
So
Um,
do you have your real estate license?
no, I don't have a license.
I'm thinking about getting mine because as you know, my YouTube channel, I have a playlist where I do house tours
Yeah,
and working with the realtors, they express to me that they actually like my personality and they think that, I do well in the industry. And I mean, doing these tours, I've actually learned a lot more about real estate. So I'm considering to get my license,
yeah,
but not necessarily now because I think I have a lot on my plate right now.
yeah. No, I mean having a license is a good thing. For me, I'm not looking to be like a broker, a middleman
Mhm.
between buyers and sellers. I'm more interested in being an investor, and if you have your license as an investor, it can be beneficial for you because you save a little money here and there when you're bringing the house to the market, or even when you're purchasing. Sometimes when you're closing, sometimes there are fees that come in that you have to pay to the realtor. Right now, there's a Jamaican girl, her name is Candice Bell Navis. You must know her.
It
um,
sounds familiar. Is she dark?
yeah, her name is Candy Bell on Instagram. She's in Atlanta, so
Pink.
yeah, I'm using her as my realtor. So I don't plan. I just feel like everyone should earn, and
Mhm.
I don't want to take my time to go and do my real estate license to save 3%. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I rather
understood.
just make her money and everyone feel good. You know.
The main reason why I would do it is because I think having a license and being in the industry, in terms of supplying my YouTube channel with content, I think it would help a little bit right there because sometimes, let's be real, a lot of realtors still don't understand YouTube. And
Yeah.
so a lot of them don't really take kindly to, hearing, hey, can I tour your house or can I tour your listing or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, not thinking, but considering to get my license. So um, obviously you're in a different country and I'm in Jamaica, but just let us know like an estimate in terms of capital. How much do you think, or would you say it takes to get started in like the flipping business and stuff like that? Because I watch HGTV a lot and I see different price ranges from like sometimes 65,000 to sometimes 300,000, but it really depends on the condition of the house. So for you and the city that you're in and the area that you're in, kind of give us like a rough estimate if someone is there and they're interested in getting started, like what it would take.
Well, for where I'm looking, in my target market in Atlanta, it really depends, but you need at least 20,000. At
USD,
least,
right?
yeah, on this, like the minimum 20. 20, you go and get like a really cheap property that is probably in, a bad condition, and needs like heavy rehab. But that's just to like close on the property. You're still going to need money for rehab. So if you want to be comfortably doing flips, not having any problem, you want about like $40,000 to $50,000 to close on the property and also to do the rehab.
So I have a question. Is it $20,000 if you're partnering or if you're going in solo? If
If
you're
you're
going
going in,
solo,
if you're going in just to take down the property. So if you're
okay.
partnering, you can split that 50 in the middle, 25-25. You partner with somebody on the front end, and then on the back end, when you sell the actual house, you can then split the profits with them as well.
This question wasn't on the script, but I've always wondered, like, is it possible for a Jamaican to invest or to get in the real estate industry abroad? Because, for example, if I have $2 million, I want to buy a house, is that even possible? Do you have to be a citizen?
Oh,
No.
well, if you want to do it, if you want to do it by yourself, I'm not sure what the laws are behind that, but
Mhm.
you can partner with someone who is a
Someone's
citizen
name.
or resident, and you can go through their business, and they can fund the deal that way, and you can get.
Okay. So would you recommend a young person in Jamaica to enter that type of real estate industry? Because I mean, I'm not quite sure on the popularity of flipping in Jamaica. I haven't really heard much about it. I've asked a few realtors about it, and they've also expressed that it's not really a popular thing here. But I mean, things change over time, of course. And with the internet, persons are learning more. So, what would be your recommendation to a young person in Jamaica that would possibly want to start flipping houses?
Yeah, so back home, like every time I come home, I'm trying to find like real estate opportunities. It seems to me that the best opportunities are to buy vacation rentals.
Hmm.
Um, so that's the opportunity. That's where I would go if I was in Jamaica and had no opportunities in the United States. And that's where I'm actually, because every time I go to Jamaica, my now wife keeps saying, "Hey, we need to buy a house here. We need to buy a house."
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, fine. We'll probably look into a vacation rental. But in terms of the United States, I do recommend for Jamaicans to find someone in the United States who they can partner with and they can
Right.
work to fund flips, because not only will they be working in US dollars, but they can also they can get their proceeds will be given in US dollars, whether it be from just the capital gains in selling the flip, or if they plan to hold and rent that flip, they'll get cash flow that's US dollar denominated. Um, and I think that's honestly beneficial because there's just so many opportunities to flip in the United States. There's always new opportunities to flip.
There's an entire TV channel on flipping. So
There's a
it's
whole
obviously
TD, yeah, there's a whole TD, and you can flip so many things. Like you can flip single family homes, you can
RVs.
flip RVs, you can flip apartment buildings, you can flip warehouses, storage units. There's so many different opportunities, and then there are different classes of real estate that you can flip:
Yeah.
A, B, C, D. All
Or
those
even
different things.
commercial real estate too, right?
Exactly, you can do all of that, and you don't even have to flip either. Like there's so many different places that you can enter into the market. You can be a wholesaler. They call it a bird dogger, bird caller. Um, you can be, as you say, a realtor. You can be. I mean, if you're in Jamaica, there's no opportunity to be a realtor, but you can work with somebody who's a wholesaler. You can work with, like for example, one main opportunity I see of working with someone who's a wholesaler, which I've thought about doing, but I just can't do so many things at once, is as a wholesaler, one of the number one things that you need to do is you need to be able to cold call a long list of people. So
Yeah.
let's say you have like like the other day I went driving around the community, took down a bunch of houses that I need, and I came up with a list of like 400 houses. Now I'm going to have to go and
My
call those
God.
400 people, right,
Have
to
you
try and,
considered getting an assistant?
I have an assistant, but
Oh, you do have an assistant.
yeah,
Okay.
so there I'm not doing the calling, but
Okay.
I'm saying in Jamaica, there's opportunities for people to actually work from home. And if you have a Google Voice account, because we use Google Voice, it's not like you need to make an international dial, right? You can be sitting down, calling these people, sending them offers on their home, right? And earning on the when you sell that contract, right? So I think that's such a big opportunity because it's like it takes all you need to be doing is sitting down and making a few
See, the
calls.
thing is, I feel like our young people, I don't want to be negative, but I don't think they're innovative enough. I feel like in terms of career choices in Jamaica, a lot of persons are still trying to enter specific industries. And like you said, there are so many opportunities to make money, not just real estate, but even like just online. Like for me, my entire life, I knew that persons, for example, online teaching, I knew that persons would go to other countries and teach online, but I never knew that there were actually persons at home working for companies, teaching English or teaching whatever subject and
Mhm.
making the exact same income. So you don't even have to migrate, you don't have to book any flights, you don't have to be away from your family. And I've been doing this for 2 years, and it's call it 4 times what a normal tutor would make here in Jamaica. So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
feel like, again, it's in USD. So,
Yeah,
as the dollar changes, that's more beneficial to me. And
yeah.
I just feel like the same cell phone that we have in our hands and that we're browsing through social media, if we could just like research and look at the different options that you have, because you just listed so many under real estate alone,
Many.
I feel
Not on-
like,
not only real estate, all my assistants, one of the things I have said to myself that I am going to do no matter what is, if I'm hiring in Jamaica first before I hire here.
mhm,
So my assistant now is in Jamaica. She just quit her job in Jamaica to work for me full time, and she's
is she being paid in USD?
being paid $1,200 a month.
Oh my
Just
God.
yeah, just
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
yeah. And she was like, for her, it's like, oh my god, like
Yeah,
you get what I'm
because
saying.
an assistant doesn't make that much
And
here.
she's not even doing much. All she's doing is like literally I'll hit her up and be like, yo, post this on Instagram. Or like some like just mundane task that um I can't do, or they just add up over time.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, keep on top of this, clear my email inbox, pay this person, like all these different
And she
things.
still has the flexibility to do other things.
Oh yeah. She works
Definitely.
3 hours a day or 4 hours a day, but
And
you
she
know,
gets 1,200 USD?
yeah, she's
Dang.
living life, man. Yeah, and that's just starting. So like as we earn more, she's gonna and
Yeah.
she's learning things as well. So like I have a lot of people don't know this, but one of my closest friends and business partners. We have a company that's a UI and UX design company, and we also do web development.
Oh, okay.
He's the CEO. I'm the CFO,
Mm-hmm.
um, and COO. So I'm the operations as well. And she also assists that
With
company as
that.
well. And as she's going on, she's learning stuff about UI and UX design. She's learning stuff about project management and how to put
Yes, that's
together
the thing.
referrals for proposals. She's learning all of these things. And as we bring more clients, because we're growing right now, right?
Yeah.
Uh, she is going to be in charge of some of those stuff because we have 10 clients. If we reach the 20, we'll have to hire more. I'll be hiring more Jamaicans, and she'll probably be the one who's managing that person. So there's room
I
for
feel
growth
like
for
as an assistant, there's so much free game that you're put onto when working with that person. And
Mhm.
eventually, if you want to, you can also, as you said, either get a different position or start your own thing. I just feel like I wish more young persons were more like innovative in terms of their career choices. And I don't blame them, to be quite honest. I think in terms of the parental culture in Jamaica as well, I just feel like a lot of parents aren't used to all of these options. And in addition to that, if they do have a child that wants to branch out into something that's unpopular, they're not entirely supportive. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
not everybody has that willpower to continue pushing and continue doing what they do. So they usually just stick to the status quo.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
just
I
my
agree.
opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely comes down to the culture in Jamaica because I could have. A lot of people were surprised that I never went to law school.
Right.
Everybody thought like I was sure to go to law school and take over my mother firm and all these different things. And no, I know that wasn't a great choice, so I didn't do it.
And I've known people, for example, they said that they're starting YouTube. And of course, it takes like 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours. And in that interim, they get so much negative feedback from persons until they start being monetized. And if it is that they're open enough about their income, then they get a different opinion. But I wish persons were more open to unpopular career choices, because the funny part about it is that those choices usually make a lot more money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about streams of income. We both can agree that having multiple streams of income is key, because I think last year, if you didn't learn at all, last year was a big game changer, and it taught people that you need to have money coming in from all direction, because a lot of persons got laid off, a lot of persons got sick and they couldn't work. A lot of persons, their cost of living went up for whatever reason, and everyone is just under financial pressure. So let's talk about you, if you don't mind. I'd like to know an estimate. The usual that I hear is 7, but I wanted to know, like, how many do you have or how much you aim to have? Let me know a little bit about that.
Well, I have a concept that I don't know if you ever read the ebook that I put out, but I have a concept about like wells. And for me, I want as many as I possibly can get. Of course, I'd
Okay.
like to combine some. Currently, I have 5 or 6. I'll have to sit down and like actually count them, but about 5 or 6 streams that are like solid streams that come in every month. It's
Mhm.
funny, I actually didn't realize the power of having multiple streams of income until I was in Jamaica for my wedding, where I wasn't doing
Mm.
anything for an entire month. And then when before I came back, I opened my bank account and it was significantly more than when I went to Jamaica. And I was spending a lot of money. Like I was spending a lot of money while in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and that's when I was like, wow, like I didn't put in any hours. Like when I'm in 0 hours of work, other than maybe my business partner and best friend was telling me, calling me and be like, yo, can you just respond to this email because you're the person or whatever it may be. Um, and I kept making money. You know what I mean? So I currently have 5 or 6 streams of income, and yeah, I love all of them.
I have about, I would say, 4 or 5. My main aim is to have at least 7.
Yeah,
But with that said, I would want at least 60 or 70% of those to be passive. And I know that's a very touchy word, passive. But
mm-hmm.
what I really mean is, for example, my first YouTube video, persons are still watching that. So let's say long term that video is monetized. I literally just 30 minutes of filming would have provided income for years to come. Or for example, let's say I have an ebook or an online course. Me taking 3 days to make that ebook and putting it up, persons can continuously buy that in the future. And another example, like rent, me buying a property but receiving rent, that's another thing. So I think long term I would like about 70%, if that's a decent figure, to be like passive, and I don't really have to like clock in or go inside an office. And
Yeah,
I know most entrepreneurs, especially Jamaican entrepreneurs, they have this misconception of entrepreneurship. So don't get me wrong, listeners. Of course it takes work, but the goal is that you're not working constantly every day. So you work smart and not hard.
mhm. Absolutely. So
Yeah,
only 2 of my actual streams of income are active.
right.
Um, the rest of them are all passive. Whether I'm receiving rent from a tenant, I tend to rent to traveling nurses.
Oh,
I,
really? Why
yeah,
nurses?
make a shit ton of money, and also
Oh,
eh,
okay.
there's a few things. They make a shit ton of money. They don't stay for long. Usually they're like 6 months at a time,
Oh,
and they're not in the property very
I didn't
frequently.
even know you had a thing like traveling nurses. But
Oh yeah, yeah. In the United States, it's a popular thing,
is it
and they
persons
don't.
that live in or like
No, no,
just
no.
transferred from hospitals?
Exactly. So the one that I have
That's
now,
a
she
thing?
actually, yeah, she's from Houston, but she actually is working in Atlanta. So she's been with us since I think like June. Wait, no, 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 April, and she's
Mm-hmm.
leaving in the end of September. But they also, one of the main things that I like about it is they do not spend a lot of time in the property. So less flushing toilet, less using the bathroom, less using all of these
Yeah.
things because they're always at the hospital. You know what I
So the
mean?
fixtures aren't under pressure and the environment is relatively clean afterwards.
Exactly. And it's like Airbnb, but a bit longer and more like one person in the property. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
then you have people coming and paying me from Airbnb. Then I have flips going on, which I'm not actively there working on the flip. It's expensive to pay
Yeah, I
someone
was
to.
gonna ask you about that too, but you
Yeah,
already answered.
Yeah, but they are the ones that doing the work. So I'm in Jamaica, the roof's being done, the siding's being done, all these different things. And it's just I'm not working harder, right? I'm still working 9 to 5 on my like active streams of income, which is me actually being the operations officer for this company that I'm telling you about, UI and UX design company. It's called Black Lotus. And then also I operate my community where I help and give them, content information, keep them updated on what's happening in the world, showing them what I'm actively doing every day. And that's about the most active, you
Mhm.
know, things. Oh, and trading as well, which
Yes.
is like
Oh,
semi-active.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that's my next question. I wanted to kind of switch from real estate and entrepreneurship and get into investing and trading. So if you follow him, Abram has expressed his opinion on Forex tutors so many times.
Yeah.
So I wanted your opinion. You're an avid investor. So how popular do you think investing is in Jamaica among young people? And based on your observations, where do you see investing going, particularly the JSE and Forex, excluding persons that don't sell courses? Because I feel like these persons have, for persons who don't know, I feel like they've created this misconception that Forex is a school or it has to be taught. So persons looking on don't necessarily know that this is something that is an international platform and stuff like that. So where do you see all of that going? Because for me, it's getting messier and messier by the day, and it's deterring a lot of persons, which is so unfortunate because the industry is extremely profitable if you do it right.
Mhm.
So
Well,
where do you see all of that going?
I have good things and bad things to say. Um, or I would say not good and bad, it's a positive and negative. I think the positives are that I think there's a lot more people who are trying to figure out ways to put their money to work.
Right.
And I think that's across our generation, across the board, internationally, not just Jamaica. I'm happy to see that in Jamaica, that's the case as well. I think when I was starting, I started when I was in college, when I was in about sophomore year. And when I was starting, there wasn't many people talking about investing and stuff like that,
Right.
It's become a lot more popular in Jamaica through not only the JSC, but also, of course, as you mentioned, Forex. And Forex has gotten popular across the world because of like companies like IML,
Oh
right?
God, I left out crypto.
Right. Oh, crypto. So we talk about that. Yeah, but because of there's this company called IML that's like a multi-level.
Is it one company though, or it's a concept?
No, no, no. It's one company
Are
called
you
I.
sure? Because I've
I
seen.
I went to Grant Cardone's All right. So when I first heard about IML, I was like, "What is this?" When I actually learned completely what it was, is I went to Grant Cardone's 10x conference. I think it was 3 years ago,
I
and he
remember.
brought the founder of IML on the stage. Right? He's like a multi-millionaire. He's from Mexico.
Let
Right?
me get this straight. You're
Mm.
saying that IML is one company because I've seen different companies on social media
Yeah,
um,
and I know,
with the
but
same concept.
it's the same concept. But IML is a company that started it. Right? They started. It's a multi-level marketing company,
Mm-hmm.
uh, where the real business model is not to teach people about trading. It's to teach people how
It's
to
to give
bring
them just enough knowledge.
yeah, you give them just enough knowledge, and that's actually legal. In for multi-level marketing schemes, it's actually have to give them just enough of whatever product they're selling for it to be legal, right? So it is legal, but it's what their business model is they it's a marketing scheme. You have to get other people to try and join on top of you. And the more people you get to join on top of you, is the more passive income you'll earn, right?
Allegedly.
Allegedly, right. But I've not been in it, so there's not enough information I can give you. But
I don't know.
from what I've seen, And what I've heard, because I've had multiple people who have come to me saying they've joined and they need help or whatever. I mean, there's this one girl that lost $30,000 in IML, and then she came to me for help, and I helped her to get out of debt and also to, get the right investing knowledge under her belt. But to continue what I was saying, so that has made Forex very popular, right? Now, what I think is it's still positive. Why? I think that the fact that, yes, I know you're going to be shocked, but the fact that I think this is positive because the fact that people are actually being introduced to these things that are actually real tangible assets that you can take real advantage of is new and important. What's negative about it is that they're getting misinformation. So what I like to say to people is that they come to me and they say, hey, I just learned about Forex. I just learned about the stock market. I lost $100 or I lost $200. What do you think? What should I do? And I said, listen, the fact that you took that step to go out there and try that is very good. What I need you to do now is go and read these resources. And I give them resources that have been around for hundreds of years, right? Things that I've read from the greatest traders of the past, things that I've read about where the market may be going in the future, things that I've read that help you to teach you the fundamentals, like laying up a basketball or how to cross over or shooting a free throw. Those are the things that help you to become great. So I give them those resources and I tell them to go and read that. And out of every 10 people, 2 may actually go and read it. And then the other 8 will continue with IML. You know what I mean?
It's funny you said that because I know persons personally that complain about the whole IML system, but then they leave and they go join something that's not so similar, but it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And it's just one circle after circle after circle. And I feel like, in a sense, for lack of a better word, it's sort of lazy because it's like they don't really want to sit down and research all of that. So they prefer to just sign up for, I don't know, $50 a month, get signals, whatever it is that they do, recruit persons, get a commission instead of actually learning how to trade so that you don't need IML anymore.
Right.
And for me, I didn't necessarily get caught up in IML. What taught me was the courses. So here's my experience. Baby pips, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was studying baby pips for months. I think the notebook is still here on my desk, like this.
Yeah.
I was studying it for months, and I understood most of it, but there were just some small stuff that I really couldn't grasp. So me taking a Forex course, it wasn't necessarily because I was with the sheep or the herd trying to get like quick knowledge. It's just that, sometimes you want a person to kind of explain things in a different way to you. And so I earn in USD, so $100, it really wasn't that deep for me. So I invested in a course, and let's just say it ended really badly because I was studying baby pips, I know that he was teaching crap. For example, on the first day, he took out charts and started talking about support and resistance and all of that. And I mean, if you're marketing a course that says you can come to this course with no prior knowledge of Forex, I don't necessarily think you should be taking out a chart on the first day. For me, he probably should have been defining important terms and conditions and different phrases that you'll see in Forex just for like day 1. And then day 2, you could probably get into like, I don't know, certain methods or strategies or even currency pairs and what are this and what are that. But anyway, he basically used the 2 days to upsell another course. So that's when I was like, this is very suspect because he didn't really teach anything. In fact, he was late, he was eating, he even stopped the class to go make a trade that he observed, and he really just wasted everybody's time. And then the same individual, you're on Twitter, so I don't know. Winners win, Abraham. That's the only thing I'll say.
Leave me out of this. Yeah.
So anyway, something popped up on Twitter about some legal case he had. And then somebody was basically saying, this is just him in a different fashion trying to scam people. So I was like, I'll be honest. This is what I tweeted. I'll be honest. I took the course and I think he could have done this better. I think he could have done that better. In fact, even when you go to university, you get a course outline. We didn't even get that. So I literally gave my honest review. I have to speak Jamaican now. Abraham, you know, if the boy cussed me off,
Yeah.
Abraham, 3 months, not even the same day, but it was about 3 months later. I got up and I saw a tweet about me. And the long and short of it was that before I took his course, I messaged him through my nonprofit asking for a donation for something, which he never responded to, which he
Yeah.
didn't donate. So let me make that clear. And this guy basically took that screenshot, put on Twitter saying that person's begging him and whatever, and then turn around dissing him and all of them somebody, and he's donated millions to charity and people still are disrespect him. So I had to basically come out and like, can you show me the receipt where you actually donated to this initiative, where you actually responded to the email? And separate and apart from that, you should not be in business if you can't handle a negative comment. I have an online platform and I will simply respond to the customer and say, hey, I'm sorry you had that experience. Here's a discount on your next purchase, or I'll give you a refund or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. But that's not the way to handle it. So that was the last time I ever addressed anything Forex. I was so turned off. I was so discouraged. I seen other tutors, marketing courses, and I was just like,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna do this.
It's the business of selling information around trading is a very old business, right? A lot of people don't know that. It's a very old business. If you read a book by Jesse Livermore, I can't remember the goddamn title right now. That's so embarrassing. But anyways, um,
That's okay.
he speaks about the bucket shops, like the old time bucket shops. That's what they used to call them, where people used to go and trade, right? The reminiscence of a stock operator. That's the name of the book. And he speaks about people who used to come and actually try and educate people on trading. Now, the thing about it is that there are good educators out there, there are bad educators out there, and because you're and there are people who are good traders and bad educators, right? And there are people who are
Exactly.
good educators and could also be bad traders. It's just a weird type of scenario. So what I try to tell people, and why I say there's positives and negatives, is because I don't want to deter people. You're going to have a lot of negative experiences when it comes on to the stock market. A lot. When I first started out about 5 to 6 years ago, right, sophomore year of college, I lost lots of money. I've lost over $30,000 in the market,
Whew.
right? And I've made that all back and more, and I'm able to now push my profits into the stock market and also support myself and my family. Um, but it was a lot of trials and a lot of tribulations, and there was a lot of learning foolishness, and there was a lot of having to unlearn foolishness. So what I suggest, right, people to do is to actually not try and look at it as something where you're going to jump in, you're going to start earn US dollars, and it's just easy. That's not how it works. It takes years and years and years of practice, practicing your front hand, practicing your backhand. As I said, practicing your layup, practicing your dribble, all those different fundamental stuff until you can actually make good money in the market. There's a guy on Instagram I suggest, because I don't teach people anymore, because as I said, I realize the main reason why I don't is because I realize that people come into Forex having been brainwashed and thinking it's something easy, right?
That
And
that was never me. I was always like a patient,
patient, right?
patient person.
Yeah, but
I
pay
just
when you have
wanted
patience,
like
when
I
you have
just wanted like
patience,
a different perspective. Like
right? No,
I
I
didn't have to
understand
be
that.
put on blast like that.
No, I understand that. No, I understand that. And I'm not speaking about you. I'm just speaking about like your listeners or whoever will end up watching this. Like
Mhm.
when you have patience in trading, and I'm not talking about Forex alone, I'm talking about the stock market, the JSC as well. All of this goes for all, because some of the same strategies that you use in the Forex market, you use it in the stock market. There's some a little different, there's some stuff that are a little bit different. Forex is a bigger beast than the stock market. That's one thing. Um, it's harder to learn. It's a lot more leverage, and it can blow up a lot more frequently and often. But it's generally the same. It's just different assets. One is a stock, one's a currency or a commodity, right? But in general, when you learn about trading, if you have patience, whatever amount of patience you have, try and know that you need about 2 times that or 3 times that. So if you think it's going to take you a year, it's probably going to take you 3. You get what
I
I'm saying?
mean, I feel like a lot of Jamaican tutors are making it bad for persons with a genuine interest in helping people.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
take my experience, for example, I have been so turned off every time I see a course
Exactly.
on Instagram. I feel so triggered, and it's
Yeah.
messed up that persons can't even leave like an honest review. Because I mean, if 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 it is that, I take something and I feel like I didn't get the full experience, I should be able to say that,
Right,
you
and
know?
that's
But
why I said what I said, because I've met many people who, as soon as they pull up a chart, them get PTSD. You
yes,
know what I'm saying? As soon as them see a chart, them think you're scamming, or them think like what you're doing is like a pyramid scheme or something fishy. Like
and
you
it's
can't
not
be
just
making.
Forex. I'm
It's
turned
not
off
just
from
yeah.
courses over like
Oh,
single persons who are running a business and saying I'm selling a course. I'm just so turned off. If it's not
exactly.
like an established platform, I'm just really turned off. It's
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
yeah, no, but
And
it's
and
the
you know what I
problem.
said? You know what I said on Twitter to him? I said, listen, $100 was light work for me. But what pissed me off is you know Abraham. It's like what 14,000 Jamaican dollars, 15,000 Jamaican dollars. A lot of that was somebody's last,
Yeah.
and they took their last to buy
First and
their
last.
course. They took their last to buy your course. The least you could have done is have a freaking course outline, or to actually provide valuable information, not to boast about what you have, not to boast about upselling a course, not to boast about what you can do or what you should do, but to actually give valuable information. And I also added to him, if you actually provide valuable content, you don't need to upsell. Persons will automatically want to
Yeah.
upgrade to whatever course you
Yeah. Yeah. For example, my community, like I do post about it, and like I'll post deals and stuff, but most of the people who join are because other people be like, yo, you have to join this. You get what I'm saying?
exactly.
Like the other day, 3 people messaged me and be like, yo, you're letting in new people. I have friends who want to join because they tell them. But what I'll say, to like summarize what I believe and think about the stock market in Jamaica and trading on a whole, is it's a real asset class. It's something that you can really learn. You need to go out there.
And it's
You're
not a
going to get
Jamaican
burned.
thing.
It's not a Jamaican thing. You're going to go out there. You're going to get burnt a little in terms of information, because one of the most important skills you can have now and in the future for our generation is the ability to look through information and see what's right and what's wrong. Because fake news is just the type of the time in our times, right? And fake information is in our times. We have so much information and access to information now that you're going to need to know what is real and what is not. And if you have that skill, you're going to be very valuable, not only for yourself but for companies of the future, right? That's a very, because in the past you'll just go to the library, right, and you take out a book, and usually the information that is in there is usually accurate. But now you go on the internet and information is coming from all angles, right? You don't know what source, you don't know what's true, you don't know what's not true, and so on and so forth. And that can lead in very bad directions, and you should be expected to have to endure that. But take your time and figure out what's right and what's wrong. And one thing I use, right, um, as a kind of something to help with that, as a filter, a bullshit filter, is Charlie Munger, who is Warren Buffett's best friend, has a mental model that he uses where he says any amount of time that a piece of content is around for, you can expect it to be around for double that time in the future. So if a piece of content hit the internet for 1 day, you can expect it to last for 1 more day. And if it lasts for 1 more day, that's 2 days, you can expect it to last for 4 days. But if a piece of content has been around in our world for 100 years, you can expect it to be around for 100 more, right?
I
And
agree.
uses that to figure out what's good information and what's bad information. And I have adopted that mental model when I'm looking at information that I want. You know what I mean? I always go for old stuff. And then and a lot of the time in the old stuff, they'll show you what they read. And I'll be like, oh, you read that? All right, boom, I write it down. And I go find that too. You know what I mean? So yeah, go to the old stuff, go to the tried and true stuff that have been around for years. Jesse Livermore stuff, so on and so forth. If you're looking for trading, and read that, you know what I mean? And then try and build your way up from there.
I mean, moving forward, I think I could have on my end. So listeners, if you're listening to this on your end, you have to have some responsibility as well because for me, not having a course outline prior to paying should have been a red flag. But like I said, I was already studying prior to. So I just really wanted somebody like a physical person to just kind of break things down for me that I didn't even realize that he didn't even post a course outline or anything like that. So
Hmm.
I think moving forward, I think persons could just like be more mindful of what they throw their money at. And like you said, to have a patient mindset and to just take your time and move through things because sometimes a lot of persons they're trying to gain knowledge so quickly or become profitable so quickly that they find themselves being taken advantage of for people and people really don't care and like you said it's legal, it's all legal. So if you feel like you got burnt there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And for me, like I said, that $100 was light work, but I know that there were persons in that group that probably took like 50% of their income to that course and they didn't learn a thing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to touch, we have like 8 minutes left. So I wanted to touch lightly on your group, which you were speaking about throughout this entire podcast.
Hmm.
The inner circle, just let us know like what exactly is it? Um, and guys, if you're interested and he provides with a link to me, I'll leave that in the description box below. But just let us know what exactly is it about? What exactly do you teach? Is it like just a group of friends sharing knowledge with each other, or is it that persons on the outside can join and participate?
Yeah, so it's actually, I like that saying, a group of friends sharing knowledge with each other. It's kind of like that. So as I said, like I am a teacher at heart. I like to help people, and most specifically, I like to point people in the right direction. Right. So a lot of people think I'll like when they first ask me a question or whatever, like I'll hold your hand or whatever. I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm going to be like, hey, you want to learn this? Here's a piece of content that you can read that's very valuable. Or else I hear someone who I know who can point you in the right direction. And I started to realize that that was helpful for a lot of people. I always get like messages from hundreds of people just saying, yo, you pointed me in this right that direction. You mentioned this book, you did this, you did that. And it was so helpful. Thank you. Um, but what I realized happened after that was that they kept coming back. You know what I mean? Um, so I started this group chat where I was like, okay, we can create these different channels talking about different things. And now I can answer if someone asks a question about a book, I can post that book. And if someone else had that question, they all get their questions answered
Right.
by at one time. So that's the group. It's really just a group where we share information, share knowledge, we share books, we share podcasts. I teach them, about the stock market. Right? People ask a lot of questions about the market. I have people who are expert coders and work at Google. They work at
Oh,
Netflix. They teach
okay.
coding. Have people who help with resume building. We have people who help with UI and UX design. We have people who help with real estate. My same friend that I told you that does real estate full time and he sometimes syndicates deals. He comes in and he gives people the basics of real estate. And we do things very simply. Most of the stuff we do is to just change this piece, right? To open your eyes to say, yo, this is actually possible. And you don't need all these different things to get it done. You just need to know these few things.
Yeah, these basics.
Really, right, these basic things to get you started. And if then you decide that, yo, I want to like really pursue this, you have a group of people who are actively doing that. And as you come along behind us, we can say, hey, don't do it that way, do it this way, because we made that mistake or whatever it may be. So all in all, it's really just a group where we we share information.
It's open to the public. Is there a link that person can click if they're interested?
Yeah, so it's open to we're actually not taking on any more people yet because we're in the process. It's become way bigger than we expected it to be,
Is it
right?
that thing yesterday?
Yeah, that's a
Oh, guys, I'm not gonna tell you. It's a surprise.
yeah, it's a surprise. So it's become way bigger than we expected
Okay,
it to be.
cool.
Yeah, and
Good. I said
we're
it to
doing
you yesterday. I just knew.
yeah, but it's even bigger than that. It's going. I'll
Yeah.
get a sneak peek. So we're actually going to have like um an online platform. We're building an online platform for that community,
Mm-hmm.
but the community is going to be attached to um a learning platform where kids can actually come and learn all this
Oh,
information from an early age.
yeah.
And they can prepare themselves for not only that information, but for the SATs and the CXCs. And we'll have people from all around the world who are Jamaicans specifically, who will provide mentorship on different fields that those people are interested in getting into, right? So if you're in Jamaica and you go to St. Andrews and you want to get a full scholarship to go abroad, you may have a mentor from Google, who is a Jamaican, who can help you to decide what things you need to be focusing on, right? You can learn basic UI and UX and basic coding and stuff like that. So it's a lot. As I said, this started out as just me trying to solve my own problem, which was having too many
I
people.
really like what you said in particular to having that platform for children. I don't know if you guys were in the same high school group, year group, but Anna Palomino, she wrote the Big Bad Book of Everything, which is like a summary of like financial terms and stuff, things that you need to know as an adult. And afterwards, she actually came out with like a children's version, which I
Nice.
really appreciated because I think that a lot of times, like to break generational curses and stuff, it really starts with when they're young. So the parent is learning and the child is learning at the same time, so that by that time that the child is an adult, they don't really have to be scrambling around for financial knowledge and stuff like that. They would have already had that foundation. So just to wrap up very quickly, I asked every single guest on this podcast, go ahead and name three people that you think has had like a major influence on you growing up. I feel like one of them will obviously be your mom,
I was just about to
but
say.
let me know three persons.
Yeah, so my mom is definitely very pivotal. So she has to be there first. Um, and then, oh wow, there's so many people.
Think
I
about
think
it.
I think Ray Dalio is
Mm-hmm.
going to be a very big person up there. I don't know if you know what that is.
No
He's
idea.
he's a he's a hedge fund. Well, I think he's retired now. A retired hedge fund manager
Mm-hmm.
and currency trader. He focused mostly on the fundamentals, and he wrote very good books. One called The Principles,
Mm-hmm.
which was very helpful to me. And the third person I think would be ah, there's so many. I was trying to make sure that like right now I'm thinking, all right, like how do I decide between these people? I would say I put a woman in there already, so my mother already in there, and a man in there. I would say,
Think about that time
just in
maybe where you
huh?
pivoted like as a young person. Can you think of anyone who helped you make that pivot? Like to make that switch as a young person to say, hey, I'm passionate about this, or I think I'd be really interested in this. Was there anyone?
I think I'm not going to go with someone who's popular. I'm going to go with Miss Deanna Robb, which was my vice principal in high school.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember that name, but I don't know her.
yeah, Miss
I've heard
Robb.
so many stories
Everybody
about
always
Miss
talk about Miss
Rob.
Robb. Yeah, I would say Miss Robb. Miss Robb is like an angel from heaven. Like she really, because in high school I kind of had a lot of people who know me. Like I met a old friend when I was back in Jamaica, and he was like, "Bro, I used to hate you in high school," you know. And I was like,
I didn't hate you, but I knew about you. Let me tell you how I knew about you. Final day of school, Miss
Was it
Montague
Walter War?
banned the water war. Yes, she banned the water war. And guys, just think of like that Mission Impossible music playing right now. So he pulls up in the school. I don't know who was in the trunk, who was in the back,
Yeah,
but
pull up
guys,
with, yeah.
I only see boys popping out of the car from the
It was a
back, from the
small
trunk
car
with
with
water
like
guns.
15.
And it was just like,
Yeah, so a lot of people like disliked me back then, and of
yo,
course,
security was pissed.
yeah, appreciators pissed. Them drop the ball, you know. but Mr. Rob really helped me to understand that I was a leader and how I could like use this talent I had in leading people and motivating people to go to this one, common goal.
Mhm.
And when I figured that out and realized how powerful it was, like I just went off on this crazy trajectory from there on. Like no one could stop me. Everyone was just like, wow, like he's different now. You know what I mean? So I think she's like very important in terms of
And
pivotal.
I'm not saying this because you're on the podcast, but Abraham, that was probably the funniest day in my school life. I wasn't in sixth form, so obviously it wasn't directed at me. But just the concept, because guys, Woolmers is like an all boys school, and then we have an all girls school separate. So for them to actually sneak it in a car, guns blazing, it was hilarious. I don't even know how they got through the gate, but it was
Yeah, so,
hilarious.
so she banned. So just to tell you guys, so she banned Mr. Montague. We decided we're gonna have the water war, fill up buckets of water,
And she
balloons,
said,
water
nah.
guns, everything. And she came over to the block, and she said no. So I was like, that's not
It's
going to
a
happen.
traditional thing.
Yeah, it's a tradition. Like I'm not going to come out of high school my last day, water war tradition, and I don't get to experience that. So at that time, in sixth form, you're driving. So I jumped in my friend's mother's car, and I get like three guys to go in the trunk. There was like
Damn.
four guys in the back seat, and so on and so forth. And it was really tinted up. So I drive over to the girls' school, and I come and the security guard know me. So I always been over there like him, like yo, because I always got to see Miss Montague. I know Miss Montague too. I call her Auntie Colette, always over Auntie Colleen, always over by her house with her daughter and thing. So we ran on the window and say, oh, I just make a U-turn. We just a
Right.
circle, make a wrong turn. And they say, all right, then man, go through. When we reach around, just pop the trunk and pop the back doors, and it's just water war.
That
But
was
and but
hilarious.
Miss Montague actually came around laughing when she realized what
I
we were
don't
doing.
I don't remember her expression, but I remember what's his name? Sanji. He was really short, kind of like big eyes. And he ran and he was like, he even didn't know what to do. He
Yeah,
was
the security guard, yeah. But Miss
okay.
Montague came over and she just started
She
laughing.
just
She
shook her
was
head.
like,
Yeah.
yo,
Anyways, guys, so I will be leaving Abraham's Instagram handle and his email address in the description of the podcast if you guys are interested in reaching out to him. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you guys can catch up on video footage of this podcast, and also you guys can receive exclusive content. Always remember to leave a feedback on this podcast because it helps us tremendously in terms of formulating the right content for you. Abraham, thank you so much for taking the time out to come on the podcast today. I'll see you guys next week.